Hello everyone, how you guys doing? Hopefully you're having a wonderful Labor Day Monday, and we are back again with another Fanatics Weekly Review where I go through the top 100 soccer items auction off this week. As per usual lately, again, another big week. Things just keep getting crazier, so let's go ahead and talk about it. So let's get the ball rolling here, starting off at a little over $200 this week to get into the top 96. I say top 100 because it's easier, you get the idea, but let's get going. We start with a Messi Obsidian out of 35 PSA 9 for 216. I believe that's first year Obsidian, but I don't believe that gets much of a premium. Sometimes first year does, sometimes it doesn't. That's probably a case where it doesn't. We got the Night Tops Now Celebration out of 99. A gold prism here. There's going to be plenty of these as we continue on through there from 2014, 2018, 2022. I think it's interesting to compare all of them together more so than try to find a distant comp of each individual one, so that's probably what I'll go ahead and do here. Keeping it moving, we have an Erling Haaland Topps Chrome Black out of 10 PSA 9 for 228. That felt like a decent price to me. Not crazy, but at the same time, respectable. Bukayo Saka Red Flood, PSA 10 for 228. We have a Richarlison 2022 World Cup Qatar Prism Gold, 234 and a PSA 8 there, which I mean, to me, feels pretty decent for a fairly ancillary player, generally speaking. Continuing that theme, I guess, ancillary player, big set, PSA 10 here on a Ruby out of 100, goes for 240. We have a bottle cap Messi for nearly 250 and a PSA 8. You see these every now and then. I mean, from my understanding, they're pretty attainable, but I'm not sure on the grading scale of them. I mean, I can't speak to that at all, but interesting to see it go nonetheless. Thierry Henry, these are on card, but they're like the lowest end of on card I've ever seen. This goes for 240. Above it, a couple golds here. You got a Kareem Adeyemi PSA 9, and then you have a Nigel de Jong from 2014. Paired with that, a Velita back SGC 2 Blue Eusebio from 1963 Calciatore. I did look up this price. There weren't many comparables, or at least it was hard to piece together. Generally speaking, from what I saw, I thought it was a fair price. Not the best eye appeal either, but I mean, it's a 2, so, you know, it kind of comes with the territory, I guess. Above it, Thierry Henry sticker auto. Granted, it's out of 10, but that's higher than the on-card we saw a little bit earlier. You got a Kaboom Rodrigo PSA 10 for 276, and then a purple Topps Chrome Refractor Cristiano Ronaldo in a 10 for 288, which feels pretty good to me for out of 250 card. Me personally, I'd probably cough up the extra $12, take a PSA 9 of an out of 75, sort of a color match, and I think that at 300 doesn't seem bad. However, I did look back at the comps just to see, and this was a card you could have got earlier. Well, I say earlier this year, maybe not. You could have got a PSA 10 for 460 in April. And based off this $300 sale, it'd probably be closer to like $900 now or something of the sort. This was $525, but that seems like a deal as well compared to the PSA 9 price. The 9 last year was around $150, so that's up double from then, which compared to most Messi stuff, honestly, isn't crazy, as we'll come to see. But Chrome Gold Lava Cole Palmer, that goes for $300 there on the sticker auto. Got a Didier Drogba out of 25 Topps Chrome auto, goes for $300. You have a Kaboom Declan Rice for $300 as well. This is a pretty cool 1948 Nanina Torino team, sort of the Nanina entire sheet. You cut these up and, you can sell them as individual pieces if you'd like. The Torino team sadly had the fatal plane accident a year after this, so this is kind of a cool amalgamation of all the different players of the era. You got Mazzola there as well. Wasn't really sure where this was going to go because you don't really see it at all. I think a Mazzola by itself in an authentic grade did like something like $50-$60, so clearly there's a premium here on the full team, and also being able, if you want to cut it up, to have that opportunity. Really cool piece, though. 312 on that was a fun one to see. Above it, a Topps Now Lamine Yamal out of 99 with a Messi Orange Finest out of 25. I believe that's first year finest. I say that actually thinking there could be a 2018, but maybe I'm just not up on my stuff here. Maybe that's why it doesn't have much of a first year premium, or at least generally speaking. But an orange out of 25 Messi seems fairly cheap to me at that price. But, comparatively next to it, you have an out of 125 Panini Prism CONMEBOL Copa America, which it does have the Prism name, but it's not World Cup, and I think World Cup Prism deserves a good premium, at least on my eye. Granted, Argentina won this tournament as well, so if you like that angle, but I'd rather have the card that's 5 times rarer in an era where rare cards were also rarer, just generally speaking. So interesting there. I definitely personally would take the orange, but I could see why someone might just want to take a Prism instead. Speaking of Prism, Harry Kane. I thought this was a pretty cheap price for someone that's as good as Harry Kane is, one of the best English players ever, but certainly of this era for sure. PSA 8 gold. It's an 8, but at the same time, there's only 10 of them. 360 on that doesn't seem bad at all, especially when you got like Kareem Adeyemi and other guys going near that. Next to it, a Topps Deco Lamine Yamal rookie out of 25 for 372, which certainly shows that, brands, products matter, because Topps Deco out of 25, I mean, it's rare, but doesn't really get much of a price there. Half of a Mega Cracks, or the less desirable Mega Cracks in a 10. Next to it, you got the Jude Auto here out of 20. Goes for 372 from 2022 Topps Chrome. You have a Sapphire Ronaldo out of 75 here. 408 on that, and 420 on an SP Authentic. I was surprised by the Watchers here. It feels like we've been in a very modern craze, just generally speaking. And, this isn't a coveted set, but it is first year Sapphire. No one talks about it, but I kind of like it. I don't have tons of them, but I think it matters a little bit. Granted, 36 Watchers here on an out of 75 versus 64 Watchers on what is a base card from 2004. And I just find that very interesting as well. Very healthy on these. I do believe, we did. I did it, not you guys, but you're here with me, and I appreciate that. But did take a look at it, and you could have had this as low as 144 last year. Now it's 420. So if you wanted it, hopefully you took the opportunity there. It was, a card I've always been interested in. The 2004 SP Authentic card is a 2003-2004 season. So if you look at it from a season release, it could be close to second year. Nonetheless, I still think it's a fun early card, and there's a few of them you can put together, and that's also, a little additive piece. 2017 Immaculate Collection Jumbo Bronze Lionel Messi for 444. Just going to assume it's not game worn, but that's just me guessing here. Optic Pink Wave Diego Maradona PSA 10. We'll just glance by that. This Geo Smith 1902 Ogden's Tabs General Interest. This in a PSA 5 did 456, and from what I could tell, this was a pretty good grading premium. As you can tell, high grade, pop 1 of 1, none higher. You can find these at least somewhat frequently, and in this level of grade, certainly not. And at least compared to what I saw in the past, this seemed to get a good premium over the good premiums it got in the past at this high grade. So it seemed decent to me. 2003-2004 Mega Fichas Ronaldinho patch out of 400. This was a pretty decent price as well. I pulled this up. And in terms of past comps, there had been a few. There's a PSA 9 back here that sold for $660 in 2023. So a PSA 8 now at $468 feels fairly strong. There's a PSA 9 as well last year for $570. So all blank patches, though, so not a whole lot to read into that. I don't believe this PSA 4 is also blank, but nonetheless, it seemed like a decent price, at least comparatively. This Peroteo 1938 Zepter Koenig. This is a sort of rarer back. The Koenigs are, a fan favorite, I would say, amongst pre-war, and certainly myself, I do enjoy them as well. They're more attainable than most pre-war, but they're still really not like wildly common, especially compared to modern stuff. The solo back is one of the rarer backs. There's a Nil Princess Ramona Red. That's the most common. And then you have the Solo and the 08, and those are sort of the rarer, coveted variations. But, I think all of them are desirable to certain degrees. This is also a rookie Peroteo, if memory serves me correct. He does have some Portuguese releases as well, so that's certainly playing a role here. This is a German release, but all to say, $468 seemed like a fair price to me. I was sort of, vying maybe to go after this, and I decided against it, but this would have been a fair number. I wouldn't have mind paying that in theory. Bobby Charlton Fax Packs next to it. This is a pretty easily available card from 1980s. And of course, it's got the auto here, which is why people like it. $500 for an IP auto of Charlton feels pretty strong. I mean, it's definitely, it doesn't feel wildly cheap, but I don't see cards on-card autos of him all that often either. So I get why people would want it, but it seems a bit hefty. I mean, next to it, granted, he's, Thierry Henry's still signing all the time, so I get it, but you got a Thierry Henry Eminence here out of 5 for the same exact price. His auto in this set is not gold, it's dark blue, so you really got to move it in the light to be able to see it right, and that certainly doesn't help the prices on that card in particular. Well, the entire set for him, really. Kaboom Paul Pogba. This was the first time I ever really sort of recognized that there's 2019 Prism Premier League Kabooms. I'm sure I've seen them before, but just didn't think much of it. And certainly a decent price here at $480, I would imagine. Pele sticker auto next to it at 500. Doesn't seem crazy to me. I don't think the grading helped it at all. PSA 8 with the auto authentic isn't really that great at all. Got next to it a Luis Figo here, Topps Dynasty out of 10 for 516. Couple golds in this row. Take your pick. Luis Suarez out of 10, PSA 9 from 2022, or a Paulinho PSA 8. Now, clearly, you're just going for, would you rather have a 2014 Prism Gold or a more important 2022? I personally would take the more important 2022, but I could understand both. And then smack dab in between, again, just messy stuff, absolutely roaring. A PSA 4 here for 540. Literally last year, like PSA 8s were going for this price, and now PSA 4s are. So if that doesn't tell you where we are, I don't know what does. We'll see more of that as we continue upward. Santi Jimenez, kaboom. Again, I think that also tells you where Modern is. I mean, Santi Jimenez, good player, but ultimately hasn't done a whole lot. Sort of the one of the hopes of the Mexican crowd, and 600 for a Kaboom is pretty decent, especially a Modern Kaboom. Next to it, you got your option here, PSA 5 for 720 or 660 on a BGS 7.5. I'd probably take the 7.5 just because of the grade. I mean, you get 2.5 grades and it's cheaper. I would probably go there, but I could understand both. So expensive though, man. PSA 5 for 720 is just bonkers to think about how quick that's moved. 2003 Upper Deck Ronaldo BGS 9750. These are doing pretty good. During the 2021 boom, these were crazy, to be fair. This and the SP Authentic I talked about earlier, they're up lately, but they were massive during 2021. Granted, there was more of a craze around base cards than there is now, and so I think that sort of flushed out a bit, but it's still doing okay, as you can tell there. This one, also just a huge run. Silver Prism, Cristiano Ronaldo. Granted, you don't see him much, which I think is in part why they ran. What do I have here? PSA 6. So yeah, this is the PSA 6. What do we have here? Like a 5? Yeah, a 5 went for 720. A 6 last year, in January of this year, was 320. A 6 was 320 this year. Now a 5 is 720. I mean, it's just bonkers. I mean, goodness. Anyways, I had that chart up, so I want to talk about it. But we have Cristiano Ronaldo Silver Prism here, PSA 10. And as you can tell, the sale I pulled up was January of this year, $157. And now the last two sales, $750 and $755. So doing pretty good, I'd say. That is crazy. Declan Rice, PSA 9 next to it. Also pretty good price. I mean, $750, PSA 9, that doesn't seem bad at all to me. And that's page 2. Let's go to page 1. Page 1, here we go. There's a lot of gold prisms, and like I said, I'm not going to be looking up comps, so we might go a little quicker through here. But to start, a Thomas Muller Black Select Field Level 780. I actually think that's a pretty good deal. From what I could tell, he doesn't have tons of like Select Black 1-of-1s, Panini 1-of-1s Black. So, I think that's a fun card for Thomas Muller. Also sort of a color match as well with the German Kent. And I've seen other Thomas Muller sell pretty well. That's a PSA 10 as well. I think that's a really good buy, whoever got that. So congrats on that. PSA 6 Messi here for $810. Again, that was probably a $300 to $400 card earlier this year, if not last year. So $810 now. Gvardiol here with the 2022 Prism Gold, $840. It's a 10, so keep that in mind, but that also seems pretty strong. Benjamin Sesko, I think we saw the 5 out of 5 red sapphire maybe go recently for like multiple thousands. This out of 10 chrome goes for $840. We have a Shaqiri Gold Prism from 2014 for $870. Seems sort of cheap for a player that is nichely important, I guess. Also, Arsenal fans out there and whatnot. Granted, it's international kit, but nonetheless, $870 there didn't seem crazy in a world where gold prisms go crazy. We have a 2014 Oscar as well. There's a lot of Brazilians in here. Granted, they didn't have the best World Cup, obviously, but it's always a memorable team for me and definitely a moment in time that is, pretty fond of my heart. Pop 1-of-1 on higher on that as well. Keeping it moving, we got a Hulk, PSA 7 for $960. You got a Lamine Yamal Gold out of 50 Topps Merlin. That in the variation goes for $960. A record Pele and Garrincha as well. PSA 5 goes for $1,020, which is about right. It's got a nice little red border there, which I'm always a fan of. In this row, Gabriel Martinelli here goes for $1,000. Next we got Gareth Bale for the same price as well. Take your pick of the two. Probably depends, which club you're a fan of, I guess, ultimately. But I do believe that's Gareth Bale's only gold prism, so I could see why that's pretty important for that collector base. 2023 finest Messi auto goes for $1,200. We got a 1913 Murray's Steve Bloomer SGC 1.5. Early pre-war UK stuff isn't really something that's in my ballpark. There's just a lot of it. Generally, I know the players, but I can't speak much to the sets, and ultimately the sets are very important here. As you can tell, it's a pretty decent price for a 1.5, so I'm going to imagine that the set's fairly important. Pop 1 of 1, 2 higher as well, goes for a decent number. Gold Vinny out of 10, PSA 9 goes for $12.60, along with a Federico Valverde that goes for nearly, actually the same exact price, both in PSA 9s. Interesting to me that Vinny doesn't get a premium there on Valverde, but I don't know what to make of that at all. That's just very interesting. Maybe Vinny's a little cheap. There was a point in the hobby where people were, clamoring for Vinny, and that's certainly seeming to fade at this point, but it could come back. David Luiz Gold Prison goes for $12.90 and a PSA 9. We also have a Phil Foden here. Again, Phil Foden up here at $1,400. I mean, my word. There's some pretty decent players back here. But nonetheless, $1,400 there feels a little strong in comparison, I would say. Helix Lamine Yamal goes for $14.10. Got a Dani Alves from 2014 Prism. Great player, maybe not as great of a person. How much that matters is up to each and everyone to decide. But certainly a decent price. Granted, a pretty relevant player in a very relevant set with the basically one of the best parallels you can get. Color match, so much good stuff. Another important card from another important set of a great player that's a color match and all that fun stuff. Again, this one, PSA 9 for the light blue laser prism Kylian Mbappe is actually up nearly 40% from January pricing here. Probably goes to show that the soccer market as a whole has ticked back up a good bit if Mbappe prisms are doing okay, because those were on a steady and slow march to nothingness, but they popped back up again. David Beckham Eminence here for $1,500. A couple more golds here. Marcelo and Thiago Silva, both for nearly $1,500, along with the BGS 8.5. This is the number 35 Messi from the team set Mega Cracks of the Barcelona champions that year. 3 different Messis. This is probably the most desirable. The colors are really nice, and people tend to value that. It's also harder to grade. This is the Catalan version as well. And goes for about $1,600, which, I think is a fairly decent deal in comparison to a lot of the 2004 that we've seen lately. It's still certainly up from last year. There's no denying that. But in comparison, I don't think that that's as crazy of a price as, getting like 2 PSA 4 white versions for the same price as this. Another fun one that we don't see ever really in high grade is a 2004 Panini sticker Cristiano Ronaldo going for $1,600. I tried looking up comps on that, but you basically can't find anything. Really hard sticker to grade because it's all black border, and naturally it's going to whiten a little bit. And even the stickers, even if they are clean, sometimes can have little wrinkles in them and just not be packaged right. It's just difficult. So $1,600 on that is reasonable. Next to it, the Kaboom, it did make me wonder, would you rather have the 2021 Kaboom or the sticker BGS 9.5? And it's one of those weird situations where I'm like such a Kaboom hater and a truther of, things that matter, but I'm like, maybe I would want the Kaboom. I don't know. Ultimately, I would probably talk myself into the sticker, but I don't know how sure I'd feel about that. And having them in hand, you'd probably get more fun out of just sitting there and shining the Kaboom in the light and just, going crazy over it. But ultimately, a fun one that they're right next to each other at the same price. Also at this price, though, and probably the one I'd take, to be honest, would be the 1979 Panini Calciatori pack with a Diego Maradona on top. PSA 8 pack, probably a good Maradona, although I will say from experience, not with this set in particular, but generally with sticker packs, the top card or the top sticker is usually the one that takes some damage in the packaging. So that would be, I guess, a little worrisome, and I'd probably just keep it in the pack rather than cracking it and submitting it. Jamal Musiala, PSA 9 for $1,680. I do like Musiala a good bit more than Foden personally, so I can understand a premium there, but I still feel like that's a good bit of dollars for a still prospect, ultimately, and one that's injured as well. Lamine Yamal, Obsidian Black Color Blast for $1,710. We have an SP Authentic Cristiano Ronaldo for $1,800. I don't know what that was before, but I would imagine it's probably seeing sort of the same chart as the PSA 9s we saw earlier, where that's up a good bit, because I don't remember that being 2,000. Probably closer to like 500 to 1,000. Kylian Mbappe breakaway gold, 1920. Lamine Yamal out of 150 auto. Goes for 1920 as well. And then an Estavio tie-dye PSA 10 for a little over 2K there. Didn't end up doing the research this week, so I can't speak on the Ty Cobb. Sorry to disappoint. I don't know how that relates to the Messi Kaboom. Which one would you rather have? Ty Cobb, 1909, T206 portrait, Piedmont back, or Kaboom Messi 2021? Take your pick. I personally have no clue, and this would be the time I pick a Kaboom, just out of spite. I'm just a soccer guy. I'm not a vintage baseball guy. I can't take the leap. It's an authentic grade, though, on that Ty Cobb, so clearly a lot of desirability behind that set, that player, all that good stuff. Only 23 watchers, so maybe it was a bargain because it was in soccer. Who knows? I didn't even check, but ultimately, it is what it is. It's interesting to see it in here, and I find it funny that they didn't even fix that during the 2 weeks it was sitting in this auction block. Orange Merlin, Lamine Yamal out of 25 auto goes for 2,600. Pele Aquarella 3 for 3K. I actually thought that was kind of light initially because I feel like the Aquarellas have kicked back up, and it is light, but comparatively, it's actually a pretty high price in regard to where it's been. It's been as low as 1,400 last year, and this sale goes for 3K. So that feels pretty strong to me, but definitely not the all-time high in these 2 years that we're looking at. It was 3,600, and if we go even longer term, it was, nearing 10K, if not over 10K at times in the past. So certainly still on a fall off here. You do wonder if Messi sort of trickles back into this sort of stuff. Personally, I have bought some Pelés lately because I never really could buy Pelés. Like in 2021, 2022, everything was so hyped I couldn't buy Pelés. And then 2023, 2024, things sort of fell off. And now I can afford some Pelés, which is fun. But hopefully that lasts longer. I will say myself, I'd like to get more, but we'll see. 3K on that didn't seem strong, but actually upon further review does seem okay. And I mean, from here, it looks like a decent eye appeal as well. It's got good colors, fairly decent centering. The edges are always a question mark, but that's just going to be the way it is with the perforated stuff. Neymar Gold, PSA 1010, going for 3,200. Given that this is a PSA 10, I think this was a decent price. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we saw, what was it? We saw the Di Maria. Granted, he won. I get it. But Di Maria sold for like 7 or 8K last week. And maybe that's just crazy. I think it was a little crazy. But, I mean, ultimately, you could get a PSA 9 Jamal Musiala and a PSA 9 Phil Foden for the same price as this Neymar PSA 10. I take the Neymar PSA 10 all day, but as always, that's just my opinion, but I don't think it was crazy when you compare it to the other Prisms. Beyond that, we got a Topps Chrome chapter. Oh gosh, I don't know how to read Roman numerals. Oh my gosh. Out of 25, sticker auto, presumably, goes for 3,300. And then we break into the top 9 here. In this row, you get a triad of Messis, or triad of Messis. Take your pick. You got this marbled Monday Chromo PSA 10 for 3,600, which was a crazy sale. I don't know if we're starting to see like what happened to Jordan stuff happen to Messi stuff where people are just paying up on even like early stuff in high grade. This was at one point a $400 card in 2023, and now it's 3,600. So granted, that's a really good scan of it. I think that scan helps, although to be fair, whoever scanned this on eBay did a pretty good job as well. But my word, those are some big numbers. And granted, the card doesn't pop up a ton, but you would wonder, I mean, there's probably more out there. I doubt people are grading every copy of that they run by. PSA 10 of the 2006 World Cup card, as you can tell, also up a lot. Up 73% in the last, 2 years? Most of that coming within the last year. I mean, last year's up 48% off of a high sale. You could have got it for under 2K. Now you're looking at 4.4. Again, Messi stuff just continues to run. We have a 2024 American Ink Gold Pulsar Messi for 5,500, which looks like a legitimate auto to me. Row above that, a couple autos here. The 2020 Topps Chrome Erling Haaland. I believe this is rookie. I could be wrong on that. The sort of dates they use on this Bundesliga product is a little tricky. I say Bundesliga product. I'm pretty sure this is just a Dortmund team product. But ultimately, I think this is an on-card rookie autograph of Erling Haaland that went for 5,700. And the price sort of bakes that in. From what I could tell prior to this auction, that's a fair price to pay. But I've always thought that these cards are pretty underrated. People don't talk about them much. And even though I sort of know what they are, I mean, I just showed you that I don't know exactly what year's which and, all that good stuff. So I'm not necessarily clued in fully. but I do think it's a pretty important card for Erling Haaland, generally speaking, especially if you're a fan, you want his rookie stuff. 2018 Eminence Masters of the Pitch Gold Lionel Messi. As always, I don't think I really need to talk about it, but the autograph is not very great from this Eminence set, and certainly hampers the price. $6K there. If that was a real auto, you're probably talking closer to like 10, I would imagine, but ultimately that gets a decent discount because of that. Although in these bull markets, I mean, some people don't care, don't even know. So, you might be able to buy it and sell it to someone that doesn't know if you're about that life. 2018 Panini Kaboom Lionel Messi, 10.5K for PSA 10. In terms of the prices, where it's been, where it's at, 2024, May of 2024, 3.5K, now 10.5. So, a nice little 2X, nothing, not a big deal. 200% increase in less than a year and a half. Who wouldn't take it, right? Who wouldn't take it? Although, clearly it's not selling too much. Well, I say that. There's been a few sales this year, pop 36 total, which, to be fair, is not a massive pop. So, sort of can make sense of it from that regard. If we go all-time here, I would imagine this is all-time high. It's actually not quite. 2021 was a bit higher, but certainly getting back there. And 2019, this was a $60 to $80 card. So, just fun times here where we're up 100x in like 6 years. And then top three. I mean, my word, what an anticlimactic top three, but also a very climactic top three because, I mean, my word, the pricing on these are crazy. 3 BGS, 71 bases, all in one auction block. You would think 3 of them going at once during this craze. Is it going to go lighter? Are things going to drop a little bit? And the answer is no. They went crazier. And, a 6.5 for 12, 7.5 for 16.2, and a 9 for 35.4. I don't really know if I see a deal here necessarily between these. I mean, this would imply like an 8.5 is probably sitting at like 25, which seems about right. So I think they're all fairly, respectable in terms of where their pricing is. Maybe you could argue the BGS 9 at 35 is cheap when a PSA 9 probably at this point is like 100 or 200. I don't even know. But yeah, just crazy stuff. I looked up the BGS 9. Well, actually, this is a BGS 8 because that's as low as we could go on Card Ladder. Let's look at the BGS 9, I guess, because that's one that we actually saw run. So, yeah, look at that. Just, nice little rate of growth over, 6 months of 250%. Sitting at about 10K in June, and this just went for 35.4. So, yeah, not too bad, huh? Not too bad at all. Ultimately, I don't believe this is an all-time high. I mean, it's actually very close. In May of 2021, you were looking at 40 back there. And as we know, that sort of came back down pretty quick. But at this point, it seems like a different sort of crowd, or at least it seems like a new crowd for sure. Can these sustain at these prices? I have more belief than I did in 2021, knowing what I know now. But ultimately, I still feel like this is probably too much, too quick. But at the end of the day, I think this is one of the best soccer cards out there. And so I can understand why people want it. I just, I struggle a little bit with why so many people want it so much more when it's up 300%, when no one was really, like, back in 2023, 2024, no one was really talking about this and being like, you guys should go buy this. This is a great card, yada, yada. And now that it's up 200%, everyone's saying this is a great card. It's like, well, yeah, it was a great card when it was, 7 or 8K. And now it's 35 and everyone's like, this is a great card. And I still think it's a great card. But man, it's just crazy. But you see it across the board. You go on over to eBay and like there's barely any 71 bases at low prices. And even like regular Messi rookies on eBay. It's just so much more deserted than it's ever been. And that certainly shows here in terms of these prices. So we'll take a look at 190 real quick. Every 10th auction, there's a vintage special where basically if you have a card 2002 or prior and it auctions over $200, you get like 10% of the buyer's premium. So that's a fun thing they do. And it incentivizes a little bit more vintage. Not as much this go around, but still some. As you can tell, a big one here with this Puskás 1946 Nanina. Of course, you got another 71 bis here, already at 24,000, plus BP nearly at 30 for a PSA 8. PSA 10 of the number 89 Mega Cracks. You got a PSA 10 of the number 62. Another 71 bis here, a Luis Monti Plus Ultra from 1926, which was a big one. Keeping it moving on through, another bis, a number 35 Mega Cracks, a 1-of-1 Cristiano Ronaldo black sticker from 2022, which I think is just an absurd sticker to have in this auction, but there it is, not even sitting in the top 6 at the moment. and we'll see where that ends. I'm definitely interested, not personally, but not like I'm buying it, but I'm just interested as a onlooker. Some Messi Ronaldo autos, an Aquarella Pele and a 4. Kaboom, Lamine Yamal, PSA 10, Kylian Mbappe foot, Topps Dynasty Messi, Immaculate Messi, foil PSA 9 Messi, 70, well, not 71 bis, but 108 bis, Lamine Yamal, Topps Dynasty, Eminence, so much good stuff coming next week, and certainly more scattered throughout. So, as always, hopefully you enjoyed this episode here. If you did, make sure to leave a like, helps me helps the channel. If you want to see more videos like this, as soon as I go live, make sure to subscribe. We'd love to hear your thoughts down below, anything you thought sold high or low, or maybe something you snagged. And with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.